Hey folks, Will18 here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Hearts of Iron 3 as the Soviet Union. And it is finally time to unpause the game. It is January 1st, 1936. I have redone all of my order of battle. That way, at this time, every single person, every single division is in a corps, which is in an army, which is an army group, which is in a theater. Actually, that's not true. There are a couple of exceptions. I've left the current headquarters intact, as I discussed, right? All the different theaters. And for now, I have automated most things so that people will mostly line up on the front. Most of the theaters are just automated at the theater level, so they'll basically just line up on their own. But I've got a couple of exceptions. My Far Eastern Theater over here, I don't have the theater itself automated. Instead, I have the two army groups beneath the theater automated. The Armor East group, I've got it selected, and I've gone and flagged everything along the border here as being what it has to defend, and that goes to here. And then the Army West group then takes over the line, starting from here all the way down here, and into bits of Mongolia, although these places have no infrastructure, so I don't think anything can flow through there. I think that's why it's not part of the theater, but I think that's also would be a bad place to put any units, because I think they'd be persistently out of supply and would move very, very slowly and not fight. But that also means no one can really attack us through there either. So we'll just limit the border over there. That should be okay. I did the same thing in Stalingrad, which is the yellow bits here. I have the Eastern Army Group, which is going to be responsible for this border, which really isn't going to need much stuff at all unless we're going to do an attack into Persia and Afghanistan, which we will later on, most likely, but early on, we're not going to need that many troops. I think much more timely will be the Stalingrad West Army Group, which is most likely going to be responsible for an attack into Persia quite early. Probably start with Persia and then come around and hit, Turkey. Then probably hit Persia from both flanks over here, and I would suspect run over it pretty quickly. Other than that, yeah, that's the way it is. The Archangel HQ just is automated as normal, and we'll set up very, very simple fronts over here, and it's going to be pretty light on people. It does have, I think this is the only group, I'll have to check, there might be another theater or two, where we do actually have some people that I just assigned to the theater itself. And the reason for that is there was some cavalry down here, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to send them up there so they can sort of rip through the north of Finland relatively quickly. Maybe take this airbase. Actually, most likely, Archangel will be responsible for rushing through here to get Vasa. While Leningrad, am I thinking that correctly? Yes, the Leningrad HQ will be responsible for taking the south, mostly Helsinki and Turku over here. So, yeah. So anyway, so I sent it some cavalry so that I think it'll be able to speed through the woods relatively well on cavalry. I might be wrong. So we're going to look at the order battle planner here for the very first time, because it gives us a few easier ways to configure things. Because the problem is, these cavalry come from way down from the south. So if I want to add them to the order of battle, normally the way you would do it is, okay, I'm going to remove them, is you go here, and it's sorted by distance, right? But what corps do I actually want to put them in? I don't know. So what I did is I just threw them in Archangel, in that HQ, and then if we click on that and we expand it, we can take a look at this entire HQ and how it's organized, and then we can make a decision about, okay, where exactly do I want to put these cavalry bits? That's an excellent question. I suppose I can just add them to the existing corps. I actually don't know. I don't think we need 3 corps in Archangel. I think that's actually going to be way overkill. I'm actually going to have 2 corps of 2 infantry divisions and 2 cavalry divisions each. And that's probably more than sufficient. So we can get rid of the 32nd Corps completely, freeing up another slot for our leader, for example, and simplifying things in the north a wee bit. That's actually probably more troops than it needs, but that's all right. Anyway, let's take a look at more of the order of battle here. So you can open that up with by putting the slider or hitting O. You can't open that up with nothing selected, which annoys me to a great extent. It has to have something selected, and if ever you disband whatever you have selected, it closes this. I kind of wish that wasn't the case, but what can you do? Leningrad HQ does have some air forces and fleets unassigned to anything right now, which, since it's part of the theater, these will be part of the automated things. And you don't always want that. You can actually do some great things controlling these directly, which is one of the reasons you might actually end up automating army groups more often than the theaters, because you may still want ships and stuff attached to a theater just for ease of organization. It might be worth doing a quick little check to see if anyone else has any planes or ships. Yeah, see, the Odessa HQ down here has some vessels as well, which I suppose is entirely reasonable. Kiev's got some planes. I'm actually, what I probably will do is actually, because our first battle is going to be in the north, right? What if I move all my planes up here? I don't know if I have another airfield. Let's go to air map mode, which will help to highlight. Yeah, there is an airport in there. It's hard to tell, but there is an airport in there. The icons get a little bit bigger when you're in airport mode, and you can see range as well of the flights that are in here. So I don't actually have anyone who could reach Helsinki, but we can provide some air support over here, which is mostly all I'm going to be looking for. So we can double up this pane as well, which is quite handy. So what we're going to do is I'll just check. I'll move everyone to be in the Leningrad HQ first, and then see about replacing all the planes over there. Oh, right, there were some tanks, I think, from the far north over here that, again, I want to move to Stavka. I want to get them out of the north. So I just added them to the HQ here so that I would see them, and then I could manually drag them over into a mortarized core that way. And then the AI will automatically move them down, which will be nice. Far Eastern Theater, you'll need some stuff. Archangel, I guess you're going to keep your fleet. Leningrad, well, here's where I'm putting all the planes, so that's fine. Smolensk, so you got some planes too. I mean, we're going to want to redistribute them later, and there are stacking limits to planes, but I figure if they're all in the same HQ to start off with, I can plot a little bit more. Okay, so Leningrad. So let's say, then, in Leningrad, which one are you? Leningrad over here. So I'm going to actually no longer automate the theater. Instead, it'll be the armory group that is automated, and it's going to be instructed to take Helsinki. So it will set up a front over here, and indeed, that's exactly what's going on. So it's going to be told to take Helsinki as much as possible. But then it means my Leningrad HQ, my planes are not automated, which also means I get to move them. So you're already there, which is good. Yeah, you're at the wrong airbase. So what I want to do is move you to over here. Just right click, choose rebase, accept, and you as well. We need a lot more planes later on, but I want the existing ones to be at the front that I care about. So we're going to do that. Okay, I think it's time to start unpausing. We'll bring it up to speed 3, which will actually still be quite slow. The game will chunk out a bit here as all the paths are determined for all the units that I've just moved in bulk over here, and we should be okay. And yeah, once money comes in, we'll go and change the efficient laws. We are getting slightly inefficient research because the mechanical computing I have prioritized because I think it will be helpful for us. Yeah. All right, research going. We'll see if we end up with an excess of spies. Hopefully we get like a few spare spies kicking around. If the number slowly grows, that's going to be totally okay. Money is indeed going up, and troops are moving around. They're going to move around quite a bit. So we got all our planes over here. So what do we have? Can I just go, if I go here, does it hide the other units? Does it box select the units still? Yeah, that's a little bit annoying. I actually just want to like bulk, oh, there we go, that worked. Bulk select all the planes. I'm going to merge them together so I can make a decision. Okay, so 4 interceptors. Now, so there is a 4 wings of interceptors, each probably having like 100 planes. So there is a stacking bonus, or stacking penalty, if I send them out on a mission. So let's say I like right-click over here. I can't send them on missions, I think, because it's not enemy territory right now. If I clicked on friendly territory, or if we were at war, there we go. So there's air superiority and air intercept. I think air intercept, like, I don't know, I've heard it described that air intercept is like, if you know there's planes for sure, use this. Presumably it's a little bit more focused, and air superiority involves a lot more searching. You can click on a specific province, which is what I did there. You can also click on a region, so that'll be a whole region, and you can also use a cone and a circle. The circle will start from the range of the single province, and then if you right click, you're actually just setting a radius. If you want to change the center of the circle, change back to single province mode, move the single province, then go back to the circle. So air superiority over here might be nice. I don't know how much of a air force Finland will have at the start of this war. I'm not going to send us on a mission now, but it looks like I don't have any bombers whatsoever, or close air support or anything like that to help us on our actual attack. And air superiority is not going to do anything other than shoot down other airplanes. So, you know what we have to do? We have to queue some stuff in our production. We want to get a lot of stuff going on here. Now, one thing I talked about is the fact that when you build a unit, you will get practical experience. So I think this represents how much I will gain. At the bottom, I think it'll how much I'll gain from building this, and over here, it tells me how much it reduces the build cost and time. So I'm getting a 37% build cost discount because of my current infantry practical, which is good, and I'll gain some more by building it. These are my divisions. These are pre-made division templates. I don't have to use them. I could just make any kind of configuration I want. I could have one tank destroyer, one anti-craft, two motorized units, or sorry, mountain units. This would be a dumb configuration, but it does technically allow me to do that. So this would be a division with 4 brigades. Again, later on I can unlock the ability to have 5 brigades in a division. If I want, it may or may not be critical, I don't know. You can see all the list of terrain modifiers that will affect things, movement modifiers based on what I've got, which is great, and again, the practical. So you get a bit of a discount with the armor practical, not much, and a bit of discount from the artillery, lots from the infantry, but we actually would gain a lot of armor practical from building this unit, which is interesting to consider. And yeah, these are the pre-made templates. I will need a lot more infantry. Now, most of my infantry divisions currently in the game are like this, 3 infantry. I would much prefer, I think, adding in some artillery. Yeah, I pretty much suspect that. Now, we can look at the speeds. You can see infantry moves at a speed of 4. Artillery also moves at a speed of 4, which is great. But again, that's why you wouldn't combine it with light armor. Light armor moves at an 8. Artillery moves at a 4, but the whole division moves at the speed of the lowest one. So adding artillery in here does not slow down this infantry division at all. Doesn't slow down its speed in any way whatsoever, but gives it considerably more punch. The attack things are soft attack and hard attack. You can see that everything in the game has a softness rating. I love the teddy bear. That's just great. Has a softness rating. Most, like, say, infantry will be 100% soft. So they will take... all the damage will come from the soft field. Whereas light armor is only 30% soft. It's 70% hard. That means any soft attack will be reduced down to 30%. It only takes 30% of any soft damage. The remainder, it will take in hard damage, though. So if you look, like, infantry is all soft attack, right? 2 points of soft, 0 points of hard. If you use infantry to attack armor, things are going to go very badly. Whereas tank destroyers, for example, actually aren't as good as hitting soft. I mean, they still hit for 2, which is pretty good, but not very cost effective. But actually has 3 hard, which is pretty good. And then there's a hard attack. How many attacks this brigade can make against hard targets? So they get split. And then there's the armor piercing as well. And, you know, lots of combat stats and defensiveness and toughness. And I honestly don't know all of the combat mechanics, but those are big ones. Anyway, artillery. So my infantry has a soft attack of 2. Artillery has a soft attack of 4 and a hard attack of 1 as a bonus. So it's a pretty good contribution there. It also doesn't need any more people. It only needs 1,000 people as opposed to the 3,000 that most of the infantry needs, which is pretty good. And there was one other thing. Oh yes, it's combat width. So this is combat width over here. So every battle has a maximum amount of frontage. There's only so much space on the line of attack for units to cram in there. After that front line is full, everyone's going to have to just sit in the back as a reserve and wait until the front units have to withdraw, and then they can run up there and replace it. It's worth noting, armor, tanks, they start with a combat width of 2, which means if you have a combat width of, say, 12 for your combat, you can fit 6 brigades, not divisions, 6 brigades of tanks on your front line, and then it's 100% full. Whereas with infantry, you can fit 12 brigades of infantry on the front line before it's full, which does affect these stats. You can fit twice as much infantry on the front line. Armor's, got all kinds of different strength and is a lot tougher, but there's those sorts of modifiers. You can get a tech later on that reduces the combat width of armor down to 1, which increases its effectiveness dramatically. It's worth noting that anything that counts as support, which is down here, actually doesn't take any combat width whatsoever. It doesn't take up any frontage, so that includes artillery. So, if my combat width is 12, that means that with a brigade that has 3 infantry, right, so I can fit a combat width of 12 in total, infantry is a 1, that means I can have 4 full divisions of infantries which have like 3 brigade each of infantry, right? Because if I have 3 infantry per division, 3 times 4 is 12, and the artillery doesn't add to anything. You can also configure things. Some people will do this: 2 infantry, 2 artillery, a lot more punch, but you'll need a lot more divisions to fill your front line. So there's sort of a cost thing. These are more expensive, and you need more, just, you know, a bigger command structure because you can have more divisions and therefore more corps and so on. But that's pretty high on the punch thing. I'm going to go ahead and use this, and I'm going to save this template. I'm going to overwrite the rifle template so that we can keep using this in the future. Now, every time I finish this, I will get a certain amount of practical experience, which makes the next one cheaper. The most efficient way to produce troops would be to just do a big serial run. Basically, you build one, and then you build another one, and then you build another one, and every time you finish building one, the next one will be slightly cheaper and faster. I mean, I could manually queue them one at a time whenever one finishes, but serial will do this automatically for me, which is great, except we're only ever going to produce one at a time, and the speed is fixed. I mean, ignoring the practical, okay? To produce one unit takes 136 days. And it doesn't matter how much production I have, it will always take 136 days, during which time it will eat up 15 industrial capacity. This is the most, like, one production line will take 15 industrial capacity and take 136 days to make me a full division of this configuration. If I add serial, the amount of time per division is basically the same, reduced slightly based on the practical that we will gain. So it still uses the same industrial capacity. I can also run in parallel, where the time will be fixed, because I'm going to be able to say 10 at exactly the same time, using production lines across multiple factories. It'll use a lot of simultaneous industrial capacity, but that's okay. The downside to this is that these 10 will be built, and they won't get to benefit from each other's practical experience. On the other hand, if I just did everything as a serial run, we'd be, like, the game would be over before we actually ever finished building our army, so that's no good. So I'm going to start with a run to start off with, of, like, say 5 in parallel, and, like, I'll do, like, something like this. That's a year and a half. That's not bad. That gets my troops out a little bit faster, and the second, third, and fourth serial run will get to benefit from the production from the first one. So I think it's going to be maybe a little bit stronger. Some of the timings are a little bit weird in how it processes things. There's ways to automate it, but at a certain point you get a bit lazy. We should talk about this, combined arms. Be very careful. If you read about combined arms bonuses on the wiki, most of it is out of date. It's from before their finest hour, where things have been changed. It used to be about balancing soft versus hard and blah, blah, blah. That's no longer the case. Now you actually get these modifiers. Like, our base is infantry. Okay, that's our base division here. And then if we have armor or artillery or direct fire or support brigades added to this, for each one of those, we will just simply get 5% bonus to our combat effectiveness. So by adding artillery in here, not only do we get a 0 combat with high soft attack unit, which is great, but actually our whole unit works 5% better because of the combined arms, which is pretty good. We could get an even bigger bonus if we replace the artillery with, say, a tank destroyer. Now we're at 10% combined arms, but I don't necessarily want a tank destroyer in there. So we're going to just take this for now. It's going to be fine. I will deploy these troops as reserves. If you look at the costs over here, right, the cost and the time, and manpower cost, if I go as reserve, the time is the same, but the production cost and manpower is a lot lower, because a reserve division doesn't have all of its equipment and all of its troops. They're not ready to fight. You don't want to fight with reserves, but they're a lot cheaper to produce ahead of time. And you actually burn through your practical. You can get it a lot cheaper and easier as reserves. And outside of war, this is absolutely, you want to do it the way you want to do it. When war is declared, they will automatically go off reserve status, and you can also mobilize your army ahead of time, which is a good idea if you know a war is going to happen. You can hit mobilize, and it will reinforce all your armies. You're going to have to pay a bunch of money to give them their supplies and the reinforcements, but it will get them up to fighting status right before the war starts. And then once you're in the war, you're automatically mobilized all the time. So if we look at our production screen now, we can see we've got our 5 production lines of infantry. They've got a +3 over here, which means there's going to be 3 more runs after this for a total of 4. And 4 times 5 is 20. 20 divisions is a start. It's so far from what we actually need. Meanwhile, but we still have a lot of production. We have 116. Yeah, there's a lot of upgrades waiting, but I'm not going to care about upgrading my troops quite yet. So I actually want more stuff going on here. I do have some early tactical bombers and close air support. I think I'm going to go ahead and build 1 wing of each. and then we can use them to help out with our attack against Finland once the Winter War starts, and it'll give us a little bit of practical experience early on by building that. That'll be okay. You'll notice all my headquarters also have a request for what kind of units they think they need to bring them up to full fighting status. Like the Far East Theater says, you know what, we could really use some light armor. These are individual brigades, by the way. Leningrad says, hey, they could use some light armor as well. I don't think we're going to use light armor against the Finns. I think we're mostly just going to queue this up. I don't know if we're going to rush out anything else. I actually don't plan on producing much in the way of light armor. I think we're going to wait until we have medium and then get to work on that. Motorized, yeah, I don't know if we'll be working on motorized either. Infantry will have to make an interesting decision. There is something to be said about using the garrison troops over here. So notice, so you've got infantry here, right? Which has a strength of 2, a soft attack of 2. Militia has a soft attack of 1. Garrison has a 2. Actually, just look at infantry and garrison. As far as I recall, the stats are completely the same, although interestingly enough, garrisons start with slightly more organization. Or maybe that's a cap. Actually, I think that is the cap. So, garrisons can actually hold their ground slightly longer than infantry. The big difference is the speed. Infantry moves at a speed of 4. Garrisons move at a speed of 1. Garrisons do not move. They're very bad at attacking. If they do get overrun, they can actually get in a fair amount of trouble because they can't really withdraw an appreciable amount. But other than that, their stats are the same. They're a hell of a lot cheaper to build, though. They need a lot less industrial capacity and a lot less manpower to be fully staffed. Like half the price and, I don't know, 25% less manpower. They're also a lot faster to build. To hold our line against the Germans, we could do a lot of garrison. Now, assuming we win, or we want to start pushing back against them, we're not going to want a lot of garrison. But some garrison divisions wouldn't be the end of the world. Militia is considerably weaker, a lot cheaper to build, and they use different technology. If we look at our technology screen, garrison, I'm pretty sure, uses all the infantry stats over here, whereas militia will use these. How do we tell that on the screen, actually? Let's just start with a fresh template over here. I mean, definitely uses different practical over here. Yeah, I don't know. There must be a way. I mean, I'm not building that. Brigade detachment, do I see anything different here? Militia? Ah, yes, I do. Okay. So we can see the militia uses militia small arms, militia support, militia light, etc. Infantry uses the regular small arms, regular infantry support weapons, etc. Garrison uses the militia versions. Ah. So if you were doing a militia-centric defense, you would research these instead. So I probably won't use the garrisons then because I don't intend on researching these. We'll focus purely on pure infantry the whole time. All right. So do I want to produce anything else? Yes, I do. I want to produce a bunch of industrial capacity. So we have a certain number of factories as is. We can build a lot more. So if I look at Moscow over here, you can see it currently has 9 factories, basically 9 industrial capacity. I can click this button and queue up another one. It'll actually show up in production down here, which is great. I'm going to put it at the top of the list right there. I can also build industrial capacity from here. It'll queue it up, and then once it's finished, it'll ask me what province I want to put it in. It's a little bit sort of gamey in that you can build it just sort of in limbo and then assign it somewhere, but it's like 100 times more convenient. So I'm going to set up a parallel run of like 20. I want a lot more factories. It's going to eat all my industrial capacity for about a year. But then we're going to have a lot more factories, and I'm really, really, really happy about that. I guess it does create construction practical. You know what? Maybe we don't want to use all the industrial capacity then, and we want to take advantage of the fact that the first run will give us some practical for the second one. So I will still build 20 factories, but I'll do it in 2 separate runs. We're going to start production, and I'm going to go ahead and, again, bump it to the top of the queue. I don't necessarily need to build all my units right away, but I would like to get my industry running as quickly as possible. I think that's an excellent idea. Again, as Soviet Union, we have lots of resources, so we can easily handle higher industrial capacity. Okay, let's unpause some more. As soon as we get to about $100, we can enact our first legal change, which is nice. These little tags, the yellow tags, mean a unit has just moved and has to wait a tick before it can move again. You see that on attack as well. Sometimes you'll see a red tag if someone runs out of supply, which shouldn't be a problem over here. Things should get supplied really quickly, although there might just simply be a latency. Someone might move into a province that doesn't have much in the way of supply, Where's that? This one here. Right? Like here. And then it'll just have to wait until, you know, things get shuffled the right way around. Overall, we're going to be okay. See, supplies are flowing to the front lines. We're going to be perfectly fine. If we look at the... Oh, we can enact... Oh, no, not quite. If we look at the production screen, I did tell it to prioritize production. So that should continue. Again, it'll produce the right amount of consumer goods to keep our unrest at 0, which is great. I don't know why I put the supplies so high. I really don't care about building a surplus of supplies right now. Let me set it there and then unselect it. Oh, yeah, no. I don't need to set it to AI. This should do that, because I would like to put most of it over here. I'm actually confused as to why these sliders are not working exactly as I expect. It is fine if it goes overkill a bit on supplies. I mean, we will need them, so it's okay. But most of what I want is production, and I certainly don't care about upgrades or reinforcements at this time. So those should continue to tune up. I guess we're still on the first day. That's why it is at 2000. Let me go to speed 5 for a sec. Whoop. Okay. Slow down. Pause again. Parliamentary scandal. Until the end of the month, we get less leadership and more daily dissent. Although it's not going to be growing, so that's fine. The leadership sort of sucks, though. Look at production. It should have auto-tuned it for that day. And then it should shift it around. I don't know. Let's not worry too much. Laws. Basic training. Nope, we still don't have enough. Come on, one more day. So we're trading some things, so we're not making as much as I expected. We're apparently buying some stuff. Automatic trade. All right, specialized training. Recruiting time takes longer, but things are going to come in with more experience points. That is wonderful. So we really don't have anything to do right now other than run at speed 5. My armies are going to, like, because these are all my cavalries that are moving up here where I told them. People are going to range on the front. There's going to be a lot of movement right now, but they'll sort themselves out relatively soon. There we go. Nothing on upgrades or reinforcements, which is fine. Supplies only slightly being overkilled, which is okay. Consumer goods is too high, though. Why are you building so many consumer goods? I'm really confused. There you go. Just leave supplies locked there explicitly, and then things will adjust. All right, it's not the end of the world. I mean, micromanaging that stuff for the entirety of the war will cause you to go crazy, so it's not worth thinking about. All right, so most of my stuff is arranged where I want it. If I go and click on some of these HQs, Italy has puppeted Ethiopia. Italy does start in a war against Ethiopia, which a war it can win very, very, very easily. The AI always seems to puppet it. I don't know if there's a chance. A lot of players, I think the advice might be to annex, but they like to puppet. I'm just going to check my theaters really quick to make sure that no one's out of range. These guys actually are. Oh, they're defending these ports, which is pretty smart, actually. I can't complain about that. Being out of range means they aren't going to get the bonus from the various HQs and whatnot. Still, they're unlikely to fight. They're mostly here just to leave sort of a token defense. The fact that they aren't going to get a bonus from everything up in the supply chain really doesn't bother me that much. But you know what I forgot to do? Is actually set all my leaders up. Especially the army groups. I want to make sure that we have the highest skilled people assigned to my army groups. Let me do the Archangel one here, because the supplies are going to be important where we're actually fighting. So you're going to go there. All right, then we're going to come back here. So again, the higher the skill of a person assigned to an army group, the less supply everyone else in the chain needs. So nothing else is critical right now, because we're not actually fighting. But we are using supplies right now, so I may as well get the full discount. So I'll make some more Field Marshal. I don't particularly care about their traits for the Field Marshal position. I mostly just care about using the highest skilled people everywhere. This is it. And there. And I'm going to have to redo some of this once the Great Officer Purge happens, which is one of the other reasons I'm not going to go and assign someone to every position, because most of them are going to be dead. Or, I don't know, half of them are going to be dead. And then hopefully I don't lose everyone of good skill. I don't know all the people who are going to get purged. I don't have, like, the names memorized or anything. Okay, there we go. I think all my army groups now have a leader. And certainly my fleets will also want admirals, which I think, no, maybe doesn't come from this different skill pool. Might come from the same leader pool. Okay, that's fine. Speed 5, so now we should be consuming a little bit less supplies. Supplies are actually going up pretty dramatically. Turkey is trying to align itself to the Comintern. Listen, Turkey, it's not going to work out. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but no. Consumer goods are balanced. I don't know what the deal with the supplies are, but whatever. There's a cap of 99,999 in every category, including supplies. So, as long as we don't go over it, it's fine. Manpower is going up too. Now, we'll see that there's going to be more and more of a need of reinforcement as just things happen, things get attritioned. And also, having recreated all the headquarters, all the manpower went back in the pool, and then recreating the headquarters, now they want manpower, but I don't actually have anything dedicated to it, so they're not actually being reinforced. Still, should be okay. Oh, agriculture, our first technology finished. 40% bonus to manpower, and I suspect agriculture is now well ahead of time. Yeah, so we're going to go and cancel that. Light engine. Okay. Now, we want all of these to get to level 2. To unlock this. So I actually don't need to research the level 3 light tank engine, which is nice to know. Although now I'm not researching my full queue. So let me go and queue up just a handful of doctrines, just to sort of fill up the gap here. Light tank armor, light tank reliability, lovely. So I can DQ things from here too. So I just have to wait until the light tank gun finishes, which should be any second. Oh, and you don't have enough research. There we go. Industrial production. That's not the one I'm looking for. Let's go ahead and get another doctrine. How about infantry warfare? That sounds like the sort of thing I'm doing. Mass assault. That sounds pretty appropriate too. France decided on a popular front. You got a bit of a change of government, which is not that helpful. It actually, I think it lowers some of their national unity, which is part of the reason they're so easy to get to surrender. This is infantry upgrades. Good. Still waiting on that last tank upgrade to finish. Basic aeroplane engine, and those don't repeat. Light tank advanced. Wonderful. I'm going to DQ that. So I could go up to level 3 if I wanted a self-propelled artillery brigade. Maybe we will at some point. But these techs would all be a bit ahead of time, so we're not going to rush that. I'm not in a hurry to get the Spart, as people call it. If you're playing as Germany, it's a lot higher of a priority, I think. But for me, no, not so much. Unlocking the medium tank brigade, though, that is huge. In fact, I'm going to put it at the top of the queue so it's not getting like this fractional amount of research. I want to unlock this as quickly as possible so I can start researching these upgrades as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, yeah, these guys are slightly ahead. I'm kind of willing to take, maybe not that much. I'm going to start these. As soon as 37 rolls around, I'm going to start researching these guys. So that, because then we'll only be going 1 year ahead of time, it's not quite as inefficient. What would be probably really helpful is Arctic warfare equipment. Oh, what do I need for that? Oh, I need the either two to finish up, which is probably going to happen anytime now. But I want Arctic warfare and mountain warfare quite early. I'll probably unlock most of these at some point, which is fine. Let's go ahead and get some more doctrines just queued up to fill things in. Operational level organization is one of the best because it decreases the time between attacks. It lets you attack a lot faster. But all of these are pretty strong. We should at least get like A level of all this. This one actually, it's got the encirclement bonus. Paratrooper, Marine, Mountain, and GDS. I don't remember what GDS is. It's not quite as critical. I will probably want it all anyway. This one's really hard to research because we don't have superior firepower doctrine, right, which we won't have for a while. And our land combat experience isn't very high, and we're not really going to get much. I think it's probably worth going ahead with the unlock anyway, even though we've, you know, it's difficulty 10, which sort of sucks. It's probably worth picking up. Light artillery advanced. That's another, light artillery was another one of the infantry ones. But we still need one more. Infantry anti-tank. Come on. There it is. So, I'll probably stop this until 37, as I said. But what we can do is start the mountain warfare equipment and Arctic warfare equipment. It reduces attrition in those areas, which is really handy. Like for all infantry, but also this one's here will improve my mountain troops, my specialized mountain troops even more. I think That is good and fine. We're going to put a cut in here. We finished most of those. A little bit more airplane upgrades. I don't think I'm going to rush any of these. Getting the multi-role fighter is cool. They can do, they're like sort of dive bombers. They're really good at close air support. Or as I tend to say, combat air support. Basically, they're planes that can help, like, kill the tanks and stuff from the other side, help you win battles, as opposed to strategic bombers, which destroy infrastructure and industrial capacity. Very different sort of ideas. If we can get the multi-role fighters before this and use them in the battle in Finland, I think it's going to help us out pretty dramatically, actually. All right, we're going to put a cut in here. Hope everyone's still enjoying the series. Hopefully I'm not going too fast for the people who this is new, and too slow for people who know how to play. Hopefully I'm getting in that Goldilocks zone. Cross my fingers. Overall, I do think our setup is pretty good. We do have to build a lot of stuff, but I've got enough stuff queued as is. Once we do get this industrial capacity underway here, this first wave, we'll get quite a bit more. Each one of these will add +1 IC, which is pretty good, and we've got a lot of percentage modifiers that can make that go up even more. At the start of 37, when we do the Great Purge and get that plus 20% industrial capacity. Ooh. No, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. This one here. A plus 22 unity is what I'm thinking about. Plus more manpower. When we get the unity boost, it will allow us to change a few more of our policies, which will dramatically change our production rates. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time.